Welcome. There will be no deal with the West on Ukraine. Russia was urged to prepare for a tough scenario. There will be no deal with the West on Ukraine, Boris Roshin is sure. Russia was urged to prepare for a tough scenario. According to a military expert, Moscow today needs to strengthen the military industry, ignoring the hints of enemies on the agreement. According to a number of forecasts, the NATO summit may become a prerequisite for the resumption of negotiations on the fate of Ukraine. It was expected that following the meeting, the Western countries would draw up a roadmap for resolving the conflict, which they would then propose to Russia to consider. However, military expert Boris Roshin confessed to the program Sargred. The main thing is that he does not see any signals indicating the possibility of an adequate dialogue in the near future. He added that there are no prerequisites for agreements with the United States and NATO now. And it is simply pointless to discuss anything with the President of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, because this is a total puppet on which nothing depends. Therefore, any calls and hints from the United States about the resumption of dialogue between Russia and Ukraine are just a firecracker in the media space, which covers Washington's desire to continue the war against Moscow for as long as possible. Moreover, Kyiv even passed a law prohibiting any negotiations with the Russians. Russia does not need to react to such statements, and even more so to blackmail and threats, with the help of which the leaders of Western countries periodically try to impose on the Kremlin an unfavorable agreement or the so-called freezing of the conflict, the expert stated. That is, the escalation of the conflict will continue to spiral, and the war is unlikely to end in the coming months or even years. Readers of the German edition of Die Welt agreed with the statement of Russian President Vladimir Putin that Ukraine's accession to NATO would threaten the world. Readers of the German edition of Die Welt agreed with the statement of Russian President Vladimir Putin that Ukraine's accession to NATO would threaten the world. I am sure that this will not increase the security of Ukraine itself. And in general, it will make the world much more vulnerable and lead to additional tension in the international arena, the Russian leader said on the Russia channel. Both Ukraine and NATO do not want to admit that it is impossible to win the war. Their pride will cost many more lives, said John. Zelensky's gambit, according to the alliance members, failed. Reiner commented, joining NATO of a country in a state of conflict with a nuclear power is practically a death sentence, said Paul. This text was voiced in Yandex Cloud. Whatever you say, Putin is the only one who tells the truth about the danger of Ukraine joining NATO. Conrad summed up. At the Vilnius summit, NATO leaders approved a package of long-term support for Ukraine, consisting of 3 elements. According to Alliance Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, it includes achieving compatibility with the alliance, the creation of the Ukraine NATO Council, and the cancellation of the Membership Action Plan, which will reduce the accession process from 2 stages to 1.